So even after Super Bowl Sunday, I was watching some basketball this past weekend, and there's some stuff I want to talk about in terms of teams. I know I mentioned this earlier, but I'm going to be doing a little repetitive talk. So, for example, Nikola Jokic puts up one of the most ridiculous triple doubles: 28 points, 22 points, 14 rebounds, 17 assists. Dude had a plus minus of plus 36 on the night, even with the bench unit playing pretty poorly. Outside of Tim Hardaway Jr. For the Denver Nuggets, they took down a 16-point win in Chicago, which, mind you, they were down going into the fourth quarter. This one, I think this healthy Nuggets team is going to be very scary come playoff time. I really do. As for the new look Chicago Bulls, I'm really liking what I'm seeing so far. I know that they're on a big losing streak and they haven't looked great in terms of the win column. But guys like Anthony Simons, I think he's going to be getting his value up as a member of the Chicago Bulls, hence why I like that trade for them. Jaden Ivey, same exact thing. I know that he had a bad game in this one. He's not really the defender they wanted. But a couple other additions, like they brought in Nick Richards in that trade, 15.7 rebounds. I would not be surprised to see Nick Richards being their starting center very, very soon. Colin Sexton, now a member of the Chicago Bulls, 17 points off the bench. Rob Dillingham getting 22 minutes off the bench. I love that they're giving these minutes to their newly acquired guys like Yabusele starting, Simon starting, Ivy starting, Sexton's main guy off the bench, Richards second best guy off the bench. Liking what I'm seeing out of the Chicago Bulls, although I don't think that they didn't take a step in the right direction big time or anything at the trade deadline, but they are continuously flipping guys for draft picks and then bringing back guys that really aren't doing much less production than the guys that they just trade away. I talked a little bit about this earlier, but the Charlotte Hornets are on a big-time win streak. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-game win streak for the Charlotte Hornets. They've looked really, really good in recent weeks. Specifically, their big three in Con Knuppel, LaMelo Ball, and Brandon Miller. Obviously, Kobe White is not playing yet for them. He's still dealing with the injury, but I really would love to see the Hornets buy into a different center. I know Diabate, 15 rebounds, 5 offensive. He's a very impact player. I would love to see them just go get a veteran big man, I can't lie, to come off the bench. And man, if Tajon Salon's still getting DMP coaches' decisions, there's got to be something real wrong about that. But I want to go into the real reason I wanted to talk about this basketball weekend, and that was to talk about the tanking that is already happening before the All-Star break, heading into the All-Star break. For example, in this Wizards versus Nets game, Will Riley getting 45 minutes. The fact that the Wizards are allowed to run an 8-man rotation, giving these guys 40 minutes a night. Keyshawn Gilbert, 29 minutes. Sharif Cooper, 29 minutes. Anthony Gill, 28 minutes. I saw a statistic that specifically in this Wizards-Nets game, the Wizards put out a lineup that was combined making $13.1 million this season. For example, the Brooklyn Nets lineup. Mind you, the Nets have the exact same record as the Wizards. This Nets lineup was making a combined $138 million this NBA season. Big difference in terms of what kind of players that these teams are putting out. Wizards, even with bringing in Trae Young and Anthony Davis, openly, literally tanking. I want to go back to the Saturday game that happened between Noah O'Toole today. You got to come in tomorrow to yell at him. The train didn't come in. I know, the train didn't happen. Go yell at Brock and Ty, though. They were talking all about the game and everything, so... But I do want to talk more about this Orlando Magic Utah Jazz game because Utah had a huge lead going into the fourth quarter of this game. Larry Markkinen had 25 points. Jaren Jackson Jr. had 22 points. Keontae George got injured in this one. They had a lead going into the fourth quarter of this game and completely pulled all of their starters into the fourth quarter, letting basically John Konchar, Bryce Sensabaugh, Filipowski, Cody Williams run the fourth quarter. Now, I understand, right, that you're the Utah Jazz, you're 21 games under 500 already, you're probably not going to fight for a play-in spot, so you may as well tank the end of games. It's just people wonder why no one wants to watch NBA regular season basketball, and this is exactly why. Because the team is competitive heading into the fourth quarter of the game, and they pull all their guys just because of the tanking lottery odds that matter clearly so much that we are in February. Regular season doesn't end till April, and we are in February, and these teams are already starting their tank jobs. Mind you, while they're winning games. In the third quarter, the Utah Jazz had the lead in that game, and yet they'd rather find a way to lose because it helps them out in the draft lottery in the future, as opposed to winning the game and learning how to build a winning culture. It's a sad part about the NBA right now. That's why I wanted to do a little look throughing the NBA standings and talking about how many teams are realistically going to be tanking the second half of the season. The Indiana Pacers are definitely going to be tanking the second half of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if Zubac really plays only a couple games for them for the rest of the year, because their pick that they traded to the Los Angeles Clippers for Zubac is 1 through 4 protected. If that pick ends up in the 5 through 9 range, it goes to the Clippers. Pacers are not going to want the lottery odds to fall against them, right? They're going to want that pick if they want to be competitive next year. That difference between the 5th overall pick and the 4th overall pick makes a huge difference for the future of the Clippers and the Indiana Pacers. So don't be surprised if you see the Pacers absolutely pulling all their guys for the rest of the year, trying to get the number 1 odds at the lottery. The Wizards, we saw them tanking. No other way to put it, they tanking. They're going to be tanking the rest of the year. I don't expect Trae Young or Anthony Davis to honestly play a minute for this team for the rest of the year. That's kind of where I'm at with the Wizards. The Nets, although they barely squeaked out that win against the Wizards, I still expect the Nets to technically be tanking. I don't expect Michael Porter Jr. to play every game for the rest of the season. I don't expect Jaeger Demon to be playing to the best of his ability. I definitely expect to hear a couple names like the Drake Powells and the Danny Wolfs getting upwards of 30 minutes a night for the rest of the year. Tanking team. Milwaukee Bucks. Can't say they're tanking because they just made a roster acquisition, bringing in Cam Thomas to the Milwaukee Bucks. Cam Thomas was released by the Brooklyn Nets. Now, funny enough, I was looking around the league saying, what team could use the most scoring ability, right? What team is worst on offense in the NBA? It's the Brooklyn Nets. So the fact that Brooklyn released their best scorer tells you everything you need to know about the direction they're going in. Now, Cam Thomas has always been one of those head case guys, really a scorer, but nothing else on the basketball court. Never been a playmaker, rebounder, defender, impact real player. But honestly, I really love the fit. I know that Giannis is still likely to get traded and everything, but I wanted a team that felt stuck in where they were to bring in Cam Thomas as just a light at the end of the tunnel, right? Something that they can look forward to for the rest of the season. I mentioned Sacramento as a team, but they have Zach LaVine still, so why would they do that? Love the Milwaukee Bucks bringing in Cam Thomas. I think it's a solid pickup. When I look at their guard rotation, I would definitely love to give Cam Thomas minutes over a guy like Gary Trent. We kind of know what we're getting out of Gary Trent. We know what we have in Gary Harris. Give a guy like Cam Thomas some minutes, specifically off the bench. Let him shoot the ball 20 times a night. Between him, Kevin Porter Jr., and Ryan Rollins, that's probably the worst defensive backcourt in the entire NBA. But if you look at the Eastern Conference, not really many other teams outside of that bottom 3 that will be tanking. As for the Western Conference, though, Memphis Grizzlies, definitely a tanking team. I don't expect John Moran to play much basketball for the rest of the year. I expect them to run this exact starting lineup of Ty Jerome, Cedric Howard, Jalen Wells, Gigi Jackson, and whoever at the starting center position. I did see Oliver Maxence Prosper had a very good game the other day against Portland. I think he was their starting basically center. Why do you think Donovan Clingan dropped 20 and 19 on them the other day? Because they don't really have a starting center. Definitely expecting Memphis to be a tanking team. Dallas, I don't think Dallas can necessarily tank because Cooper Flag is too damn good at basketball to tank. But outside of them, I don't know if Kyrie's going to come back from his injury. I don't even know if Chris Middleton is really going to get any valuable minutes on this team. We got to see. I do want to say, though, I saw Mavericks fans loving the production they were getting out of Marvin Bagley, saying that he needs to be the backup center already over a guy like Daniel Gafford. Imagine telling a Mavericks fan in 2018 that they'd be rooting for Marvin Bagley as not Luka Doncic. But hey, I don't expect the Mavericks to be a tanking team, but the bottom 3 teams underneath them, the Kings are actively tanking. They just had DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. They had Nick Clifford drop a 30-point game, and they still lost. So everything can go wrong for the Kings, and they'll be a tanking team. The Jazz, openly, we just talked about them literally tanking, pulling all their guys against Utah. Pelicans, unless you're having a Trey Murphy game where Trey Murphy's hitting 12 threes, I expect the Pelicans to be roughly a tanking team. Now, I will say I wouldn't be surprised if they technically won more games the rest of the way out than the Utah Jazz because Utah's actively tanking. Well, I think the Pelicans have enough young players that they won't be tanking, but they also might just win a couple games because of their talent. So interested to see how that works out. I was interested to see how the Clippers would look in their first game without Harden and without Zubac. Kawhi Leonard came out and said, guess what? I'm the best player on the floor in a game that, includes Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, Jaden McDaniels, Rudy Gobert. By far the best player on the floor the other day was Kawhi Leonard, and that's without any of the guys that they even acquired in the trades really playing any minutes yet. Kobe Sanders got some run, but, that's no Darius Garland. There's no Benedict Mathurin yet. I don't think the Clippers will be a tanking team, but I also would be surprised if they do find their way to the play-in tournament. I know they're currently 9. I guess I wouldn't be because every other team under them is definitely not going to make the jump. But I wouldn't be surprised if Portland jumps them in the standings and they fall to 10. As for other teams, what to expect moving forward, right? So for the Atlanta Hawks, they're trying to get out of this play-in. They're trying to move up to this spot right here in the 6th seed with C.J. McCollum, Dyson Daniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I'm very intrigued to see how Jonathan Kuminga fits into this lineup as an athletic forward next to Jalen Johnson. Atlanta has not seen their full team technically yet play basketball yet between, Jock Landale and Onyeka Okongwu being healthy at the same time. Gabe Vincent, Buddy Hield, newest shooting guard acquisitions. Jonathan Kuminga, backup small forward, power forward. Corey Kispert had a couple of good games. We haven't seen it all out of him yet. I like what Atlanta's building, but I do think that they're still a little ways away from being there. Let's continue going on in the Eastern Conference. Charlotte, expect them to keep winning games, especially when Kobe White comes back. I do expect Charlotte to finish right around 500 for the rest of the year. They're too good, honestly. They're too talented in that backcourt, 3 guys, Khan, Brandon Miller, and LaMelo, to not keep winning games. Diabate's been developing, unless they deal with a bad injury bug and tank to the end of the year. I think Charlotte's going to be fighting for that playoff spot. Miami, same thing. I thought Miami was going to be a big buying team at the deadline. They were the only team in the entire Eastern Conference to not make a trade at the deadline. So Miami is still rocking out with the same exact lineup that they had to start the season. They're probably a playoff team. I would probably slide them in at that 7-8 spot, but man, I don't love what I'm seeing out of Miami.
Give this to Ryan.
I will. That's awesome. Moving on to the Orlando Magic, right? Orlando Magic in the standings. They are healthy right now. Anthony Black coming off the bench. Noah Penda, Tristan Da Silva getting him good minutes. I don't expect the Magic to win a playoff series, but I expect them to give a team like the Knicks maybe, a 5-game series come playoff time. Celtics, the biggest question mark with the Celtics is Jason Tatum going to come back? And if he does, how does that offense look around him and now Vucevic at the starting center? Peyton Pritchard, no backup real ball handlers other than Baylor Shireman and now Ron Harper Jr. being included as their backup guys. I don't know how to feel about this Boston Celtics team right now, specifically as my way of championship or bust. $40 for the Flyers, done. You got a deal right now. $40 on the Flyers has been updated for you, Tyler. We're down to 4 teams left in Black Diamond Hockey. I don't know how to feel about the Celtics. If I had to take a guess because of their experience, I'm going to say that they're probably the best team remaining in the Eastern Conference, but I don't want anyone to sleep on the newly looked Cleveland Cavaliers. James Harden, in his first game next to Donovan Mitchell, drops 23 points, 8 assists, and 2 rebounds, 3 turnovers. Shot really well in catch and shoot threes, 5 for 8 from 3. I thought he looked good with the ball. I thought he looked good without the ball. I thought the Cavaliers looked better. I would not be surprised to see Cleveland make a run at the Eastern Conference Finals with James Harden on the team. I know a lot of people, wouldn't agree with me on that. They would say James Harden's a, bona fide playoff underperformer, but I do like James Harden. I think he's a solid fit on this team. I think it's better than what most people thought. I think Keon Ellis off the bench is going to be impactful. Jalen Tyson as their starting small forward. There's a reason they traded DeAndre Hunter. It's because Jalen Tyson is shooting what? What do the stats say? 48% from 3 this year? Yeah, Jalen Tyson, starting small forward for a reason over there in Cleveland. Wouldn't be surprised if the Eastern Conference comes down to Cleveland or Boston. But I also can't count out those top 2 teams, right? Detroit, who's been the best team in the Eastern Conference all year long, between Cade Cunningham, Asar Thompson, Duncan Robinson coming right in. Dennis Jenkins, shout out to him for just getting brought up to the full-time NBA contract. The Knicks, I'll forever say it, I don't believe in a team with Karl Anthony Towns as your starting big man to go to, the NBA Finals. But if Jalen Brunson does, Jalen Brunson-like things, I could see them making a good run. The Philadelphia 76ers, right? They just traded Jared McCain. One of the worst quotes I think that will come out of all time for the Sixers is Daryl Morey saying Jared McCain, we're selling high on him to the Thunder. Don't say that, man, when you're trading a 21-year-old guy to the Oklahoma City Thunder at this point in his career. I would not be coming out and saying we're selling high when you got the Houston Rockets first-round pick, which is probably going to be between 22 and 30, which is, farther back than where you drafted Jared McCain. Don't really understand all that. But as long as they didn't mess up the culture that much, if Embiid's healthy, anything can happen with the Sixers. And don't even count out Toronto with their defense. So sad Toronto did not trade for Domantas Sabonis. So sad they didn't trade for Sabonis. Looking towards the Western Conference, I think the Portland Trailblazers are going to be very much rebuilding still. They're trying to figure out what to do with this backup of, Scoot Henderson coming back. They just traded for Vit Krejci. Shaedon Sharpe has been averaging about 22 points a game on the season. Drew Holiday, obviously starting point guard. Donovan Clingan needs to stay healthy. Denny needs to be healthy after the run. I think this is a team that's setting themselves up to really enter that Giannis Antetokounmpo sweepstakes in the offseason, which wouldn't surprise me to see guys like Scoot Henderson or Blake Wesley or Caleb Love getting more minutes in the second half of the year because of the fact that they're trying to increase their younger guys' trade assets to go get Giannis. I'd be surprised. I think that trade would have to look like Jeremy Grant, Scoot Henderson, Caleb Love, and maybe like 4 first-round picks. But if I'm Milwaukee and Scoot Henderson has a solid second half of this season, that could be a building block, right? That could be a player that you believe in your building block in the Giannis trade come the offseason. But I think they're going to sit right around where they are. We already talked about the Clippers, right? Darius Garland, Benedict Mathurin. I think they're going to sit around this because Kawhi is such a good player. But I can't wait to see how that backcourt 3 guys of Kawhi at the 3, Benny at the 2, and DG, the PG, at the 1. Can't wait to see how they pan out. As for the Warriors, I'm very excited to watch Kristaps Porzingis play for the Warriors. I really have nothing else to say. We traded Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield, who both halfway through the season were getting combined coaches' decision DMPs. We traded them for a starting center. So I do believe in the Warriors to make a run at the Phoenix Suns for the 7 seed. I don't think we're going to catch any of these top 6 teams, but I will say, a team like Houston, San Antonio, right? These less experienced playoff teams, I don't think they want to see a healthy Golden State Warriors. Now, I say healthy, that's without Jimmy Butler, but I don't think any of those teams want to see a healthy Steph Curry, Kristaps Porzingis, and Draymond Green come playoff time. Just in case, say the Rockets jump up to the 3 seed and Warriors finish at 6. I really think the Warriors could be a sneaky team to win a playoff series as long as their health is available. Timberwolves made a couple trades around the edges. They actually traded Mike Conley just to have Mike Conley re-sign with them the next day. I thought that was a kind of funny statistic. Bones Highland has been playing fantastic for them off the bench. That's why they really traded Rob Dillingham, was because Bones Highland came over from Denver and has played very, very well as their backup guard. They brought in Ayo Dosunmu from the Chicago Bulls. Ayo, in his first game with them yesterday, dropped 11 points, 1 assist, 1 rebound. Shot okay from the field. The main reason they brought him in, though, 2 steals. This guy is a defensive-minded guy. He's the defensive impact guy you have off your bench now. 6'4", 200 pounds. I love his defensive versatility. I think he can guard 1 through 3. Especially if you put him and Jaden McDaniels on the floor together with Rudy Gobert guarding the interior. Anthony Edwards out there, even Julius Randle doesn't look like a defensive liability, man. It's like, how are you going to stop that Minnesota Timberwolves defense when they have good perimeter defenders, good wing defenders, and good interior now? There's going to be some teams that struggle against them in the playoffs. Specifically, I want to say, if OKC has to see Minnesota in the second round of those playoffs, watch out OKC, because Minnesota is built to beat the Thunder. As for the Lakers acquired more shooting at the trade deadline, bringing over Luke Kennard. Now, right now, they have Luke Kennard as their backup point guard. That is obviously not the case. It's basically only going to be Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, Marcus Smart, or LeBron James with the ball handling responsibilities. But I love the ability of bringing in Luke Kennard for basically nothing. Gabe Vincent in a 2032 second-round pick, I think it was. Luke Kennard has been above a 44% three-point shooter for basically the past decade of the NBA. Ever since he entered the league with the Pistons, then he went to the Clippers, Memphis, Atlanta, and now he's with the Lakers. In his first game with the Lakers, he put up 10 points, 50% shooting. I can promise you every Laker fan is happy that that is not Gabe Vincent out there running that 20 minutes a game, and instead it's Luke Kennard out there, because Luke Kennard is a bigger body, so he's technically a little bit better of a defender, or at least a little bit more versatile for the Lakers. He's a great shooter. He's the exact kind of guy you want in a Luka Doncic offense, and to get rid of Gabe Vincent, I love it. Do I expect the Lakers to make this big run towards a championship? Unfortunately, I do not. I think their time with LeBron James and Luka Doncic has come. The DeAndre Ayton experiment has definitely been an experiment. He hasn't been great. I thought they were going to trade Rui Hachimura at the deadline. That never ended up, showing or coming into anything, but Lakers and Houston both have glaring problems, with Lakers being their defense and Houston being their playmaking / shooting. Houston is really, really, really missing Fred VanVleet, man. The more I watch this team, the more I think that. Tari Eason came in and played a good game yesterday, but Reed Shepherd has not really been that jump of a second year that you thought he would be. Steven Adams is now out for the year. Jayshawn Tate is always injured, so it's like you're relying on Josh Okogie, Dorian Finney-Smith, Clint Capella. Alperen Sengun was just called out publicly by his head coach, Ime Udoka, for his lack of defense, with Ime saying it's been that way ever since I've been here. Cannot believe that they wouldn't have included Sengun in a Giannis Antetokounmpo Rockets trade. I'm just shocked that you don't do that. But at the end of the day, this is with a team that Houston's rocking out, and I really think as long as this is your starting lineup, if KD isn't putting up 45 points in a game, I really worry about the Rockets maybe not even making it out of the first round against, say, a Luka Doncic-led Lakers or even like an Anthony Edwards-led Timberwolves. I don't know if I see Houston beating either of those two teams in a 7-game series. Denver is my favorites to take down OKC, though, in this Western Conference. I think Denver's really putting it together at the right time right now, getting their bench unit more involved with guys like, Tim Hardaway Jr. now coming off the bench playing really valuable minutes. Jonas Valanciunas getting healthy at the right time. Bruce Brown coming in off the bench, 7 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Getting other guys involved like Jalen Pickett, Julian Strawther, Spencer Jones. Peyton Watson has been filling in while Cam Johnson's been out. Cam Johnson finally now coming in. I think that this Nuggets team is the biggest contenders in the Western Conference outside of OKC. But at the same time, I don't want to count out San Antonio. I've been saying that what's-his-name is such a good basketball player. Stephon Castle. No one's been believing me when I say Stephon Castle is, more valuable to the future of the Spurs than Dylan Harper. Well, I'd say 40 points, 12 rebounds, and 12 assists on 78% from the field, 60% from 3. I'd say that's pretty valuable, guys, San Antonio. So give me Stephon Castle, man. It's just a dog that's going to be a part of San Antonio for a while. I will forever say that they should have traded Dylan Harper for Giannis. I would have done it. I know that they don't believe it, but I would have done that trade. This Western Conference, though, is definitely closer than we thought at the beginning of the year. When we thought the Thunder were just going to run through this West, the Nuggets and the Spurs are definitely going to be giving them a good fight. And don't count out Minnesota as well in terms of matchups for the Oklahoma City Thunder. But it just really bothered me to see this weekend, watching specifically that Jazz game, man. That Jazz game really blew me. That I was just so pissed to watch Jaren Jackson's first game there. Lauri Markkanen, they have the lead going into the fourth quarter. Then they just bench all their guys and blow the fourth quarter to lose this game just to help out their tanking. Just pissed me off to watch that. And I want to talk a little bit about the state of the NBA. With the All-Star break coming up, can't wait for Team World versus Team USA in the All-Star game. I have a feeling that might be a spot where might be a little bit more aggressive of an All-Star game than we've seen in recent history in this All-Star game. But there we go. That's going to be my NBA talk post-Super Bowl. We are now fully basketball, so if you guys are coming in to stream, want to talk basketball, want to rip basketball cards, we are all things basketball for the rest of the season. Yeah, let's go. Let's go basketball for the rest of the year. We're coming up on All-Star break. I can't wait for it.